Good morning. It's Monday morning, and here we are again. Monday Momentum. We're here to help you get your week started, have fun as a solopreneur, entrepreneur, working from home, but also actually work, because we know what it's like. Sometimes you get distracted. There's so many cool things you could be doing. Some of them are things like housework. Some of them are things that aren't really going to move you forward. So we're here every Monday morning to give you that shot in the arm and encourage you and push you, give you some new information, and then kick you in the rear so that you go do it. So today we have a special guest, and we also have Linda, so it's very cool. So I'm kind of fried, and I want to apologize to you. I just got back from CEO Space, and you know we're always talking about CEO Space. We're all members of it today, which is fun. And it's kind of an intense week, and lots of staying up later than you might normally do, and staying in a hotel and having very salty food, and then for me a big long drive yesterday to get home, so I feel kind of and I know I feel like I look that way too, but we have cool stories to share. So after that, I'm going to introduce Betsy. So Betsy, you know what, I'm Westhafer, am I saying it right? I'm all of a sudden not knowing. Okay, so Betsy Westhafer, she's going to unmute in just a second. She's one of our cool faculty members at CEO Space, and she does a lot of work around helping people stay accountable, stay on track, get things done, move forward consistently so that their dreams come true, because we have to do that or they just stay dreams. So Betsy, why don't you unmute, say hi, tell them where you're from, and then tell them what you really do, because I probably just said it all wrong.
No, you did a great job, Sarah. Thanks, and thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, I'm in Dayton, Ohio. Also a little fried after last week. I took a red-eye home from Vegas to Ohio that my plane took off at 12:40 a.m. Saturday night. So I got in at 9:30 yesterday morning. So yeah, the whole East Coast, West Coast thing, but I'm good. So yeah, you did a great job of explaining what we do. Our company is the Action Masters Network, and what we do is we help business owners and entrepreneurs who are powerful and motivated and smart, and they know they've got something good going on, but may not be getting the traction that they know they're capable of getting and what they want to get with growing their business. So we have different programs to help that, and that includes an online accountability platform. It's a daily check-in with a trained accountability coach. We also do mental performance coaching, and we have various other programs, some calls and different things just to help people stay focused with other like-minded, motivated individuals, which is why I'm so excited to be on this show.
So we're having a little trouble there, and I'm going to just switch over to Linda for a minute. Linda, why don't you unmute, say hi, and tell us what's new in your accountability world, if anything.
Good morning, Linda Kay here. I am an East Coast person also, coming to you from New Hampshire. Betsy, it sounded like you have a team or a partner or something. Can you talk a little bit about, is it just you that's doing this?
No, I actually do have a team. I've got an amazing COO who is brilliant at detail, because she's everything I'm not with regard to detail and process and project management and that kind of thing. And she's awesome. She's based in Louisiana. And then I have a salesperson who's also a CEO Space member. And then I have some accountability coaches that coach our online groups. And one of them also is Rebecca Victor, and she is a club president and CEO Space member. So I like to keep.
So yeah, and so today, if you could, we didn't have much time to prepare, but I know you have a wealth of knowledge, and we only have a little half hour anyway. I don't want you to end this show without having said what you most want to say. And our audience are people, similar to us, at least for me anyway. I mean, I'm in my house, and this is where I work. This is my office. And isn't it cool? We're like Ohio and New Hampshire and California. I mean, that's the world we live in now, which is really, really fun. I mean, I love it anyway. The fact that we can work from home, live where we want, connect to each other through the internet, it's pretty great. And the internet and the computers, that's what's given you the power to do the program that you're doing. So one big, juicy #1 tip for people that are looking at us today going, yeah, that's me, and sometimes I get distracted, what would you say?
Yeah, that's a great question, Sarah. I also work from home and am sitting in my home office, and there are days where it's just hard. And so for me, what helps me stay motivated and get up and do my thing is one thing that is kind of my mantra that plays through my head, and this isn't original to me, I've heard lots of people say it, but how you do anything is how you do everything. So that just plays in my head every morning. And are you guys familiar with the Miracle Morning? The book,
Yes.
Miracle Morning. So that's a practice I've been doing for about 1.5 years, and that's really, really helped me. So I get up at 5, and I go to the gym with my next door neighbor. So she's my accountability partner. I'm going to the gym. And then I come home, and I just take that first part of the morning for myself to get my mindset right. So that I am productive and motivated all day long. So I do my journaling and my affirmations and my exercise and my reading and visualization. That whole process of Miracle Morning I do every morning. And that really, really helps me make sure that I get the most out of every day.
Good for you. And you don't do it necessarily in order, because I always feel like I have to do everything and then I have to exercise. It sounds like you start with exercise. So, I'm going to go find the book. I have it in this room somewhere so I can wave it at people. While I'm doing that, is there what's the #1 problem that you see for people like us?
I think consistency. There are days where you wake up super motivated and days where you're just like, yeah, I'm not feeling it. And in our expression of our company, a big part of it is consistency. And that's where people really start getting traction, is when they're doing these daily habits consistently. That's when they start getting that momentum. So,
do you help them identify what their daily habits should be? Is that part of the coaching that you do?
It is.
My tendency is to take on way too much. That's my #1 tendency, and it's because I'm doing a lot all the time, and it's really easy to think I can just do more somehow. And because everything is so interesting, and that sounds great. I could be a part of that, and getting back to, well, there's only 24 hours of the day, and if you're ever going to sleep at all, how much can you really realistically do? So for me, the identification of how productive can you really be, and what are the best things to spend your time on is hugely useful, and I'm just curious if that's what you do. But before we do that, this is the book we're talking about, Miracle Morning, Hal Elrod, and it's one I was talking about maybe 6 months ago on CEO Space, on Monday Momentum. Just a little. A friend of mine told me about it at CEO Space, and it's got a great little routine that you can do every morning that can really help you. I mean, if you do this consistently, that's another step. So, Betsy, back to you, and then Linda, dive in with a question if you have one.
Yeah, so the other thing about Miracle Morning is they have a phenomenal Facebook community, and so it's a very engaged Facebook community. When I started it in December of 2014, there were about 8,000 members on the community. And I haven't checked for a while, several months. Last time I looked, there were over 33,000 on it. So I know it's a growing movement toward doing this practice every morning. But when you were talking about, all these things are so interesting, I think that's a common problem, especially with people that own their own businesses, because we're naturally inquisitive and curious about things. And that was my story. I had such a hard time just getting distracted by cool new shiny objects that I wanted to be a part of. It's a temptation I have to fight pretty much on a regular basis. So I got a coach, and I think you guys probably know Dave Austin, and he's got a company called Extreme Focus, and so he's my mental performance coach. And because coaching with him made such a difference in my life and then subsequently my business, I have trained to become an extreme focus coach, and that's one of the offerings that we have at Action Masters, because just the power of focus is pretty much everything. And so that's what's really exciting for me, is that I get to use my own experience of I won't say I've overcome that challenge, because it's a challenge every day, but I've learned how to address it and really stay focused.
Well, and before Linda, I'll dive in and say I think it is going to be a challenge every day, and it should be. because we are sending out our desires, what we want to build, what we dream about building, and we don't always know how it's going to show up, what's the best way to get to it. And so if we don't evaluate every opportunity or every new idea at some level, we may miss the thing that's really what we need to do, that's really going to carry us forward. The problem is evaluating it well. I mean, for me, it was Harry Lay, the very first forum. Thank God he said it at that one, or I listened to him, which was just, if it's not in alignment with your vision, don't do it. But evaluate it. Take a minute to think about it, because it might be. And that has carried me. You know, I haven't been perfect, I know that, but it's okay. Is this cool thing going to get me to where I want to go? Can I see that it will? Or is it going to take me somewhere else that might be a cool place, but it's not what I, you know. So anyway, I know Linda has something she's dying to say.
Well, actually, I have a question here. I know there's probably a lot of, you know, work-at-home entrepreneurs who think that maybe they're not ready for a coach, or maybe they don't know what type of coach or accountability partner they have. Maybe they think that their spouse or, you know, significant other, whatever it is helping them with accountability. What would you say to these people, and how can they maybe use some tools to train themselves to get ready to work with a coach? Or if they feel they're not ready, is really the coach the better route to go?
Yeah, great question. I actually, what's really exciting to me about this is there are a lot of different kinds of coaches out there, and they're all very, not they're all, but many of them are very, very good at what they do, but they have a different focus area. So prior to even working with Dave, I worked with Michelle Young because I didn't have my vision for my life as clear as it needed to be. So I think the key is to find, if you do decide that coaching is the right path for you, finding the kind of coach that is going to best address your most immediate priorities. So for me, the first thing I needed to do is just like, what do I want to do with my life? And where I was at the time I engaged Michelle is that I had left a previous company and that I had co-founded. And so I didn't have any business going on, and at the exact same time, my youngest of 5 had graduated college, so they're all on their feet and doing their thing and tax-paying productive members of society, which was the goal.
Congratulations. Good job.
Thank you. And so I just didn't feel like, I was just kind of rudderless. I just didn't know where I was going because I didn't need to be a mom, and I didn't have a business thing going on, and I was just lost. So I worked with Michelle to really clarify my vision for where I was going ahead, and I wanted to do it this time with intention, because in the past I've always just kind of taken opportunities as they've come my way and just like, oh yeah, like you said, Sarah, it's just, oh, that looks interesting, and I can see myself doing that, and that's what I had done previously, and none of those things worked out all that well for me. So I decided this time I wanted to be really intentional about what I was going to do with my business and my life, and so I worked with Michelle. And then when I got that all clarified, then I started working with Dave, because I was having the performance type challenges and the focus type challenges, because there was just so much to dream about and think about. And so I think it's really important as you're thinking about engaging a coach to make sure you get the right kind for where you are at that particular point in your life and your business.
And it might simply be looking at what your challenges are. I mean, for me, it's organization a lot of the time and focus. So who can help me get organized? Who can help teach me to be an organization maniac, you know? I mean, I'm sure there are those kinds of coaches, and I would think that would be a way for someone to start, that if they are in that position like you're talking about, Linda, where they, you know, they feel as though, I don't know why I would need a coach, or I can't afford a coach, or, you know, who knows better than me. Well, look at your life. Are there areas that you're not that pleased with? And is the person that you traditionally talk to about that any good at themselves? Are they truly an expert at helping you? Because if they're not going to, you know, there are people that are, and you might love them. They're your mom or your husband or whatever, like you said, Linda, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be able to help you make this change. And then I'm sure just researching online, how can I help myself with these problems if I'm not ready or willing to pay, but also looking at what's the benefit you're going to get, because I think we all, us included, struggle with the idea that, wow, that sounds like more money than I feel like I have right now to spend on me or on anything, and yet what are you going to get for it? If it's going to move you forward 5 years, that's kind of substantial. That if you're going to get into profitability faster because you cleaned up this one messy corner of your life, those things are important, and if you want it, you'll be able to figure out a way to pay for it. But it's really, really, really important that you get the coach that you need. So I'm really glad that Betsy said that, because there's lots of people out there coaching, and lots of them are sort of generic in their labeling, or they sound generic to us. I'm a coach. Okay, what kind of coach? Basketball? That might not be useful for me. There's lots of kinds, and you have to know what your needs are, and then you have to talk to them a lot about what they do. And if they can't tell you what kind of coach they are because they're just trying to find anybody, they're not your coach, and you need to know that. So.
And Sarah, I would just add too, just when you were talking about the money part of it, for me, it was a, it's an investment. It's an investment in yourself, and the way I keep thinking about it is just the opportunity cost of not doing that and not having someone to bounce ideas off of, and oh my gosh, the money I have already saved by not making bad decisions has more than paid for my coach, for sure. And so I would not challenge people, but invite people to think of it in terms of what they miss out on if they don't engage a coach when they need one.
And I would agree with that. I think that I've certainly spent money on things that weren't valueless, but, okay, somebody to help me do that would have been better. And you don't maybe know the value of it until you work with someone, and then you realize, wow, I thought I knew kind of, but this person really knows, and they have lots of really great ideas, and you realize it. But if you've never done it before, or if you've worked with somebody that wasn't helpful, it can feel like, gee, that seems like a lot of money, and I'm not sure what I'm going to get for it. So,
well, hats off to you for making decisions that weren't completely valueless, because I've made some that have been completely valueless.
No, none of them. I'm sorry, I'm not going to buy that from you. You learned that.
Well, that's true.
Maybe you think the price tag was too high in terms of dollars and cents, but
no, that's very true.
Done it, you probably wouldn't have been willing to say, okay, then maybe I need to look more at what I really need. Michelle Young, somebody to help me clarify what I want for the next chapter of my life. Because if you're, all three of us, I believe, are over age 50, and a lot of our audience is too. This is it. What are you waiting for? If you're not going to do it now, okay, then it's maybe going to be the next life. And the thing about the next life, if you believe in it or not, I happen to, but you don't get to remember all the stuff you did in the last life, so it's a whole new clean slate. So if there's something you really are wishing you want to do, even if it's vague and general, like I want to make an impact, figuring that out, let's do it. Don't wait. What are you waiting for? Anyway. That's my little zip box. So guess what? We have like 9 minutes left. And I am going to post, your website information on the YouTube channel and on the website, so people, because they're not always watching live, will be able to find that. Is there anything else you want them to find? We're not going to sell a whole bunch. That's not what
Right. No, absolutely. And I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, if there's a worksheet or if there's a really great video or something you want people to look at, and of course, any more little tidbits that they can use right now today.
Yeah, thanks. And I'm so glad you called me out on that. I was joking, but words are powerful, and that was not and see, that's why I welcome coaching from anybody. It's not just having a coach, but coaching from anybody. And it is true. There was a lot of value in every mistake I made, because you learn from that mistake, and that keeps you from hopefully making the same mistake again. So I appreciate the calling out on that, Sarah. Mm-hmm. So my website is actionmastersnetwork.com, and I would just like to invite people to give me a call. That's my favorite thing in the world to do. I don't have a ton of videos out there, working on some, but I enjoy talking to people, and not in a salesy way. One of the best things that ever happened for me, and this is ultimately what got me to CEO space, was Aaron Young just reached out to me and offered to have a call. I didn't know him. I actually just connected with him on Twitter, and he just reached out and said, hey, what do you do? And I said, well, I'd love to have an answer for that. It was back when I didn't really know what I was going to do. And he said, well, let's hop on a call and talk about it. And it wasn't salesy. He wasn't charging me. He wasn't looking for anything from me. He was just reaching out to help a fellow business owner. And I appreciated that so much. And I always thought, you know, if I'm ever in a position where I had a platform where I could invite people to do that, I would love to do that. So our number is 800-600-2213, and I am happy to talk to anybody that wants to give me a call and just talk about this stuff, because it's what gives me juice, and I love it, and I love what I do, and I love helping people, whether they're in a position for our services or not. I know that there's something I can do to help.
Great.
I've got a question here. What tips or tools or suggestions would you have for people that maybe haven't started working with a coach yet and want to prepare for that? How can they start becoming a little more self-accountable and preparing themselves for actually being accountable to, you know, someone they hire for that position for them?
Yeah, that's a great question too. For me, it started with I took some index cards and I color-coded them, and I wrote on each different color things that I wanted to see in my life, in my family life, in my work life, in my physical health and well-being, and I just wrote those on cards, and I would read through them every day. And I didn't necessarily know the how of how I was going to achieve these things. I just wanted to keep them in my mind of what it was I wanted, so I'd read them every morning and every night. And that was long prior to Miracle Morning and Michelle and Dave. It was just my jumping off point of really thinking through, what is it I want, even if I don't know how I'm going to get there. And so I would just do that, and it really started ingraining it into my head. And then that led to the thought process of, well, if I want these things, what do I need to do to get them? So then I would do another set of cards. We're like, okay, these are the things that I need to do. It's old school. It's, you know, pen and paper. It's not digital. But I would just keep those. I actually had 2 sets of these cards, and I would keep one in my briefcase, which is usually with me wherever I go, and then I would keep one by my bed, and I would just read through them as often as I could, just to get this really ingrained in the fabric of who I am. And then that just put me in a mindset of knowing, okay, if I want these things, I got to do this stuff.
That's great. And, you know, I mean, that's a consistent practice, which is what you're talking about, developing. And it was very, very, I mean, rudimentary is not quite the word I want, because I feel like it's got some judgment tied to it. But it's basic. Anybody can do it. There you go. And I mean, there's so much detail that I'm dying to know, like, why did you pick the colors, and was it really only 3 categories, and where the heck did you come up with that idea? But it's setting intention every morning, evening, as often as possible, keeping your mind on it by reading it and reviewing it, and those words, when you put them on paper, immediately become way more powerful than some dream in your idea. And it's the basic, you know, it's the beginning of this, which is what it led you to, guess what, which led you to the next thing and the next thing. So thank you for that, because that is something that anyone can do.
Yeah,
and it's really powerful. So yay, you know, and it came to you. You know why it came to you? Because you asked.
Right.
It may be a system that no one else has ever used. I've never heard anything like that. But you asked, I want direction, I want focus, I want to figure myself out, I know I'm here for something. In fact, I know I'm amazing, but I'm kind of, and something came to you. Write this stuff on a card, read it, and you did. Yay for you! Woo! Yeah, that's where it got you.
Yeah, no, yeah, and it was, I don't know how it came to me, honestly, and I did have more categories. But sometimes that doesn't matter. The how, you know, sometimes
exactly. The how is irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant. It's asking for what you want, and sometimes you. What the question is I don't know what I want. Would you tell me what I want, please?
Yeah.
That's the beginning, very beginning question. When people say I don't know what I want, and then you say, okay, please ask for what you want, and you'll get an answer, and then you'll get another one. So that's how it happened. Even if you and usually you don't know how, and if you get all caught up in how, then you make no progress whatsoever.
Well, and you know, one of the things that I have learned a lot through this coaching that I've been doing is, not that I've been doing, but that I've been receiving, is I was fighting too hard. I was trying too hard to figure it out. And I was just putting so much mental energy into, I need clarity. I need to figure this out. I need to know where I'm going. I need money, whatever it is. And I was just fighting it way too hard. And so with the coaching that I've received, now I'm just allowing things. I'm working. I'm not just sitting here waiting for, money to rain down from heaven. But I've been just more peaceful in allowing things to unfold rather than trying to force a square peg in a round hole. And that's when things really started, that kind of got over the tipping point of things starting to happen versus reverting into my old habits, was just letting things unfold and being peaceful about the way they unfold.
So you don't have to be detailed about this because you may not want to be, and also because we don't have much time. But, I keep looking at your wall, and I see the diploma that's on your wall, or the certificate, or whatever we want to call it. And we both just came back from CEO Space, which Linda probably knows. And for the rest of you, that's all we ever talk about, it seems like sometimes. I'm thinking that there might have been one or two things that came out of it for you in terms of, oh, here's the next step, thank you very much. Oh, here's a big eye-opener. Did you have a good week?
I had a phenomenal week. It's really funny. This was my 5th one, and they always say 5 to thrive. And this was by far my best CEO Space experience. And, they've all been fantastic. But this is the first one I feel like I really could see the massive amount of opportunity just by being associated with an organization like that. And I had so many opportunities for collaboration, which is exciting. But back to your point, I have to be focused about what takes me closer to my vision, because there are a lot of cool opportunities, and I just have to make sure that I don't jump on board the wrong one, because they're all amazing people and we want to do all this awesome, powerful stuff together, and I just have to make sure I'm going down the right path, and it's hard to turn down things like that. But yeah, I had a great experience. In fact, I just found out yesterday I was asked to be what they call a power speaker at an event coming up in June from another CEO Space member, speaker, faculty member. So I'm really, really excited about that. But yeah, it was just a really good experience, and I couldn't wait to get home, honestly, so that I could dive into what I know I need to do now. And we spent a lot of time. My class that I taught was about identifying your milestones and your tasks so that they roll up to the goals, so that you're spending your time on the right things to achieve your goals. And I taught that on Monday and Saturday. And the feedback I got was good. And at the same time, I was like, I need to go home and do this again, because it's a continuous process. So that's what I'm working on today, is just making sure that any of the activities I do are in alignment with the goals I'm trying to achieve.
Will you point out to that certificate that I can see over your shoulder, so that you can just point at it with your finger, just say it's right there, you guys. That's what Sarah's talking about.
The other girl trying to figure out the green screen in the background. Yeah.
Okay. Because mine's in a different room, and I saw it there, and I have 30 of those now. It was I don't even know. I don't have time to count how many I've been to. I'm too busy going to the next one.
Yeah.
It was. For me, the experience this time was, it was very concentrated. It was like every moment was just packed with good, not just energy and ideas, but just like something else. I can't really explain it, but God, it was great.
Well, that's why I'm on your show today, because if you remember, we were snapping, and I said, I'm looking for people that would like to have me as a guest on their shows, and I get Sarah's card, and she's like, how about Monday?
Yeah.
And I was that's awesome. That's how that stuff happens, is you just put it out there, and with intention, and that's how that happens. So I'm very grateful for this opportunity as well.
Well, and I am too. It's been really fun, and I saw that many times. There was I have a friend who is beginning to get this idea that, oh, I'm doing something bigger, which is what we're all doing all the time. And I really want to work with this guy, and he's like, I don't know how I'm reading his book, how do I get to him? And I said something in a meeting which inspired her to come right out and say, I'm thinking I might be moving towards this, and I'd like to meet this guy. And somebody else at the table said, oh, I know him. Yeah. I mean, oh, it was just like, yeah, and she's looking at me going, I never would have said that if you hadn't have said this, and it all happened, in like 3 minutes. And that's the power of getting clear about what you want, and then hanging out with people that are devoted to helping one another. And she's just like, wow, this is really gonna, oh my gosh, and don't worry, you know, she says, I don't know if yeah, you are, because it's already done, you've already said it, so you can't take it back now. And it's fun to watch.
Well, and that's what happened with.
I mean, Betsy, you've only been there 5 times, and you came in as a student, and you're now teaching, and now you're not only teaching there, but you're teaching elsewhere. I mean, this is.
I got to go to the United Nations, to the Power of Collaboration Global Summit, simply because I forced myself to be brave enough to go up and introduce myself to Dave Austin. And then he was a speaker, and he invited me to go with him to this event with these amazing other people. And it's just amazing if you just are brave enough to just say it and reach out to people who can help you get there. It's amazing what can happen.
So, Linda, you have to come in July. There's this other thing that you might not have read the email. It'll be the last West Coast CEO space.
Really?
So, yeah, you need to come. Everybody that's watching that's on the West Coast, if you haven't come for a while, for whatever reason, that's fine. It's time to come home. The next day, but after in Henderson, Nevada. So for those of us that's just a hop, skip, and a jump, you got no excuses, and you want to get there. It'll be the July forum. It's always packed, and plus on top of it, it's the teen forum. So you got to come. We're gonna have a big party. Okay, so you know what? We're out of time. That means that you guys get to say one little thing, say goodbye, and then I'll clean her up. So Linda, you want to start with that?
All right. Well, happy Monday, everybody. This is Linda Kay. I am a accountability coach, if you will, for your online presence. So the things you've been putting off, that self-promotion that you haven't been doing, that website that's not doing what you want it to do, I can help you with that. So Linda Kay, interactivesynergy.com.
Thank you, Linda. How about it, Betsy? One more thing?
Yeah, just thanks so much, Sarah, for having me on. And Linda, it's so nice to see you. And I need to talk to you, actually, and about what you do. But, yeah, I just really appreciate the opportunity to be here. And, again, my number, if anybody wants to reach out and just chat about where they are, my number is 800-600-2213.
Thank you, Betsy. So for all of you watching, and when you find this video later or whatever, make sure that the websites of these people are going to be on the YouTube, and they will be on our website, so you can find that stuff. And for some reason we're not having lower thirds. Google must have decided they don't want to do them anymore, or who knows what. Hangouts are always an adventure, but you will be able to find us if you want to find us. And we'll be back next Monday, but now. Time to get to work, so you need to get out there and go do it. You can make some progress towards that dream, whatever it is. Don't let yourself get distracted by stuff you know isn't going to do what you need it to do to get you where you want to go. And then check in with us again next week. We'll see you Monday morning, 8 a.m. Pacific time. In between, of course, like us and love us and subscribe to us and do all that other stuff. And tell us what you want to know, what you want to hear about, and what you're thinking about the stuff we say. We want to hear from you. We will see you next Monday. Have a good week.
Thanks.